Okay, so this is a fun one. So before we can even apply the 3 steps, we need to find at least one on-point statutory section. So going off the problem that I put into the book, let's research tort governmental immunity. We'll do it for Michigan, but obviously this applies, to any state you want to research this for. The process is the same. I'll click on statutes over here to get us to an actual statute. And then right away we have this immunity from tort liability. So let's read that and see if it is indeed an on-point statute. It looks like it is. Okay, so here that we see a governmental agency is immune, and then under subsection 2, this says that an employee is immune from governmental or from tort. And then it lays out the elements. Basically, the employee is immune if they aren't grossly negligent. So step 1 is just to make sure that there aren't any other sections that might be on point. So obviously this is very significant. This answers our question, but we want to make sure we aren't missing anything. So step 1 is to read the entire act, and we do that by clicking on table of contents. So you see over here where it says table of contents, we click on that, and then we can see all of the sections that are part of this act, Act 170 of 1964. So just by comparison, I want to show you what this looks like in Westlaw. If we're looking at the very same statute in Westlaw, again, you click on table of contents and it will show you all of the sections that are part of this Governmental Liability for Negligence Act. Okay, so here are all of the on-point sections here. I'm just going to switch back to Lexis because this is where we started. So now, again, we're in step 1 of analyzing a statute. We just want to read through the catch line headings and see if there's anything on point. And feel free to do this on your own. You can pause the video and get some practice doing this. So, as we read through here, I see the next section, 1408, is about claim or civil action against officer or employee. Okay, that's our situation. We have an employee for negligence, services of an attorney. So who's going to pay for that? Payment of claim, judgment, indemnification. So if the employee has to pay a judgment, a money claim, will the government indemnify the employee? Payment or settlement of judgment. So this is very much related to the claim. It's not the primary issue of immunity, but it's definitely a corollary or ancillary kind of, or secondary kind of statutory section that definitely applies to our situation. So then I would add 1408 to my research plan and make sure that I do the same process, the steps 2 and 3, break it up and define the elements. I will do that to this section as well. Now, I'm just demonstrating this. There are probably other sections in the Act that we should look at as well, but that's what it means to look at the catch line headings. You click on table of contents and then go to the catch line headings. Okay, so now let's talk about step 2, and that's where you break the statutory sections into elements. So here, section 2 is our element. So I like to either do this right on the screen where I'll break it up, like here, use highlighting and whatever, and kind of break it up into elements, or paste it into your word processor, and you can do it on the screen in your word processor. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to do that, and then I'll come back and show you. Okay, holy moly. Okay, this is a big one. I bit off a lot here, but I wanted to give you a real look at how we do this. So here are the elements that I came up with. We have employee, governmental agency, and then this is the payoff. So this isn't an element. This is what you get if you prove the elements. Is immune from tort liability. You need an injury to a person or damage to property. It needs to be caused by the officer or the employee while in the course of employment. And then if all of the following are met, So the employee is immune if they're acting within the scope of his or her authority, exercise or discharging governmental function. They are not grossly negligent, and that gross negligence is not the proximate cause of the injury. So you can see there's some overlap here. As you break it down into elements like this, you see while in the course of employment is probably the same as this right here, scope of authority and exercise or discharge. And injury, obviously, up here. There's injury down here. So anyway, there's some overlap between them. Okay, so that is step 2. We broke it up into its elements. Now we do step 3, which is where we define these elements to see if any of these elements are defined in the statute. So I'm going to head back to our statute here. And you always first want to look to see if the actual section you're in defines any of your important elements. And sure enough, right here, we have that. I'm going to just make this a little bigger here. So look at section 8. Gross negligence means conduct so reckless as to demonstrate a substantial lack of concern for whether injury results. So if we go back here, this gross negligence element has been defined right here in the statutory section. So I don't see, let's see, any others. No, I don't see any others that apply. So hopefully you can start piecing this together. So when you are writing this up in your memo, you'd start by saying, okay, governmental employees are immune when, list out the elements here, and then say gross negligence is defined as, quote this definition right here. But we're actually not done yet. We need to go and look at the definition section for the act to see if anything else has been defined. So we're down here in 1407. So what you do often is look at the beginning of the act, and there's usually a definition section there. Sometimes they put it at the end, but usually it's at the beginning. So we're going to click on definitions here. And what we're looking for is to see if any of our elements that we pieced out, if any of the elements are defined in this section here. Okay, so you see government agency and government function there. So we have here that the employee, the governmental agency, is engaged in the exercise or discharge of a governmental function. So agency and function are some of our elements. So here they are defined in the definition section. All right, let's see if any others, sidewalk, state, volunteer. Okay, so none of the other ones are defined. So what we did is we found that gross negligence was defined in this actual section, this 1407, but the definition section defined some other parts of our statute here. And that makes sense because what statutory compilers do is they'll put the definitions that pertain to just one individual section, they'll put it within that section. And then definitions that pertain to the entire act, they'll put in the definition section for the act. So that's why agency and function are in the definition section, because those terms must appear in many sections of this act. Okay, video is way too long, I know, but it just took some time to show how to apply the 3 steps of analysis for codified law. All right, congrats on making it this far. You are amazing. Bye.